What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. We are, merciful Jesus, at the end of the Real Housewives of Potomac. This is your review for the reunion part 3. Look, let me just go on through my notes. I got 2 pages. So first of all, some of this stuff, like the beginning of the reunion was the last 2 minutes of the reunion from last week. Y'all was playing with us, Bravo, and making this out to be a whole lot more. So I'm just gonna go through my notes. If I forget something, we'll talk about it on the live tomorrow, child. So they talked about the fight, the legal action. Andy said, that, did anybody think that Candace filing the legal paperwork was taking it too far? And pretty much everybody said that they felt like Candace went too far. Giselle said that she thought there should have been some sort of legal punishment for Monique, but didn't want jail time. And Andy said, well, what did you want? She said, I don't know, an ankle monitor, something. But she thought that jail time was too much. Robin said that she thought that the legal route was taking it too far. I don't remember what Wendy said. Wendy didn't say a whole lot in this third part. Wendy was very mute. I honestly do not remember Wendy having a whole lot to say for this last hour of this reunion. Then they got to talking about the countersuit. And Candace kept calling Monique's attorney a quack attorney, a quack attorney, a quack attorney. And you know what, Andy? You got dragged like shit last Monday after the reunion. You're going to get dragged again this week. Because you were just as condescending and just as one-sided in this episode, in part 3 as you were in part 2. Now, I know it was already filmed and there wasn't nothing they could do about it. But, baby, if you got it last week, you're going to get it again. Because Monique said, in response to Candace, Monique was like, well, I have the top defense attorney in D.C., and Andy gonna say Bill Barr. Andy, if you don't shut your ass up. But basically, Monique said, listen, I hired this man. He told me to countersue. I did what I was told to do. That's why I hired him. I ain't go to nobody's law school. So if this man is telling me this is what I need to do to get Candace up for me to win my case, then that's exactly what I'm going to do. And here's what's funny. Candace, you were mad because you were like, because that's what her attorney told her to do, and that is what the judge saw when they basically the countersuit, and they offset each other and they got thrown out. And right, so basically what he told Monique to do worked. That's why he gave her the advice that he gave her, because it worked, because that was right, because that was the advice that we were supposed to take. Duh. So you mad because it worked. And then Monique said that her attorney said to Monique's attorney, we're gonna get some money off of you, and Bravo's gonna capture it all on tape. So I'm gonna say this. You have a certain amount of time to file civil lawsuits, and even though there was no criminal there, Candace continuing to play up this emotional issue at the end. Andy asked her if she was still on medication. She said she was. Chris talked about he just wants his daughter back because this isn't the daughter that wife back, because this isn't the wife that he married. So all I'm gonna say about this is, don't be surprised if you see a civil lawsuit. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Monique did say that, and again, I have to say to Monique, you need to know when to shut the fuck up. Because you gave this heartfelt, you said that fight was not about Candace. There was nothing about that was about Candace. She did things that triggered me from things from my childhood that I didn't realize was there. And nothing that Candace did on that day warranted what I did to her. And for that, I sincerely apologize. See, that's what you should have said to Andy, and I'm done talking about the fight. But no, y'all kept talking. And then Monique went to start talking about, well, Candace, let's not act like you were so innocent. You were doing things behind the scenes. Once again, Monique, you already said the fight wasn't about her. And you already said that she didn't do nothing to deserve what you did. Then they brought up the song Drag Queens. Listen, I don't have no defense for that. Monique, once again, you were sitting there trying to defend it, talking about it wasn't about the fight. It was about all the bullies in your childhood, that your therapist told you to write the song. Your therapist told you to write the song, but he didn't tell you to record it and put it out. He did not tell you to release it. And now tonight, she is having a whole premiere party for the video. Listen, I love Monique. I know I do. But y'all, I try to be fair. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Monique, you listen. It just wasn't a good look. And then to name the song Drag Queens, like, it's clear what the song was about, who the song was about, what you were speaking of in the song. And at the end of the day, I get it. Therapy comes in many shapes. And if Monique, you are a creative person, and she spoke about the fact that before, that she did do music, before she was on the house, which we've discussed that on the show before. Remember, Monique spit some bars a couple of times. So we know that Monique did music. So again, Andy, I'm pointing at you. Stop acting like you don't know this woman did music. Stop acting like that's some new information for you, because it's not. Because Andy gonna say, oh, so you're a recording artist now? Because Monique said something about being in the studio. Bitch, anybody with $50 can go get a studio session, depending on what studio you're trying to go to. Hell, anybody with the right equipment in their house can have a studio. I mean, come on, Andy, stop acting like, because again, you was being shady when you said it. Now, Monique, back at you, girl. No reason. I can't defend drag queens. I can't. Listen. No reason in the world. Again, make the song, but you ain't have to release it. And here's the reality. You could have released the song today. When the season was over, when you knew you had your contract for next season, you could have recorded the song and had it on go. Mixed, mastered, and everything else, and had it on go. But whatever. So they spoke on that. Then we get to Miss Karen. Now, Karen admitted that she lied. Okay, Karen admitted that she lied. Now, she was getting ready to start trying to play semantics and say, well, I didn't invite Monique to the wig launch party. I invited her to the pre-launch party. But even she had to sort of laugh and catch herself in mid-conversation and say, you know what? Listen, I did what I had to do. Yes, I lied to the ladies in Portugal because I already knew that if I said yes, I was going to invite Monique to the damn wig launch, it was going to be a whole nother situation. And she said, I did what I had to do. We were in a really bad place, and we were already so splintered as a group. Monique had been with me from the beginning. Monique helped me put this together. Monique walked with me through this whole launch process. And so, no, I did not want to exclude her from it. But I also understood that inviting Monique in that moment was not going to be a good thing. I got that. I understood that. But for me, now we've been hyped up about this whole Chris Samuels piece of the reunion, but let me tell you what I thought the most powerful part of this reunion was for me, was when Candace brought up the fact that Monique went to production about some text that Candace had sent her. And Karen said, because you threatened me, you told me to burn in hell, to burn in the depths of hell or something like that, in response to when that whole thing came up about the plot. And when Karen went on, because with a lot of people, if you didn't watch that whole live, you don't know that Karen came on that live after Monique and Chris said their piece. Karen came on that live. Now, she was drunk as a skunk, and it was funny as hell to see it, because Ray came on screen and tried to take the bottle out her hand, honey, because she was drunk. But she spoke to her part of it when Candace called her and told her what it was and why she called Monique. Now, Candace, you can backpedal and pussy pop off this whole thing all you want now, but at the end of the day, it was what it was. We're going to get to that in a minute. We're going to get to the plot in a minute. But she said, you went and snitched on me like you were going to my parents and telling on me. And Karen said, you know what I did? because I was concerned about you. Because the Candace said, I knew would never have threatened me. The Karen said, I knew would never have told me to burn in hell. And she was like, and all Candace kept saying was, but that's not a threat. That's not a threat. That's not a threat. And Karen said, and I remember that in our Bravo contracts, there is mental health help available. And all I was doing was letting production know that you needed some help. You needed some mental help. And that's what I was trying to get you. I was trying to get you the help that you needed. But girl, I thought, to me, that was really the most powerful moment, because I really saw how concerned in my mind that Karen really was about Candace and the things that comes out of Candace's mouth, and also understanding that there are consequences to the things that come out your mouth. Like, you can't just be going around threatening people like that. You can't be doing that. So anyways, so yeah, so that's I thought that was very powerful that Karen said that she really did have concern, and I believe her. I believe Karen had some legit concerns, and she said, and I would do it again. And it got to be very heated, because Karen was like, listen, yes, I did go to production. I went to your boss, and I would do it again. I said, you better tell her. So then the husbands came out. Okay, so we went around the room. When we got to Chris Bassett, he said that they sold the restaurant. I'm just gonna leave that right there. I've already discussed Chris and his restaurant before. I'm gonna leave that right there. He said he's doing a lot of catering. He's doing online Zoom classes, yada yada yada, booda booda bang. Eddie, they spoke on his family, and this is the most that we heard Eddie. I mean, Eddie and Wendy, like I said, they didn't really say anything in this episode. But this they did speak on. Now, what I did find interesting was they asked about the family not coming to the sip and see and where the family is now and all of that. And I find it very interesting that, Eddie, you had all that smoke up under Funky Dineva's comments when he did the video about the curse that's supposed to be on, on the whole curse thing that was going around the internet, and you was talking about how it wasn't true and how this, that, and the other. But I felt like that would have been the perfect opportunity for you to address the rumors and clear the air. But you didn't. Giselle bought security because she said Chris threatened her. And Chris did, and he was wrong. And first of all, let me say this. Chris did apologize. He apologized for threatening you. He apologized for his language. And what he said was that he wished he could turn it to, he could be like Caitlyn Jenner, which I don't even want to know what nobody gonna say about that one, and slap the shit out of all of y'all. But he said if he was a woman. He never said a man. He never said as a man he would attack y'all. But he was still wrong for saying it, and he did apologize. He said he was just very upset and emotional. They got to yelling. Everybody got to yelling back and forth because Chris kept wanting to bring up the plot. And the minute they would hear the word plot, they would never, Robin and Giselle would pounce. Every time he tried to talk about the word plot, they would pounce. Then Chris Bassett said something to the effect of, but you supported the blogger speaking on my kids. And Monique and Chris Samuels were both like, who? What you talking about? And they were talking about Kyle, may rest in peace, the blogger that passed away a few months ago. And Monique and them was like, well, what the fuck we got to do with that? Like, what do we have to do with what he said about your kids? But you were supporting him. And at that moment, all of them got to arguing. All of them got to yelling back and forth at each other. And it was at that moment, or around that time, is when Chris stood up. This whole thing that we've been hearing for the last 2 weeks after Jamal Bryant released his response video and talked about how Chris Samuels tried to attack Robin and Giselle. And ultimately, Chris stood up, but he never advanced. He never came from behind his chair. And unless they... bless me. Unless they edited all of that out, I didn't even see where security had to come out. And Jamal Bryant said that security had to come out and get Chris. I didn't see none of that. I didn't see none of that. Now again, They could have very easily edited it out, but y'all know Bravo, and Bravo was here for all the shits, and Bravo was here for all the ratings. Even if they didn't show the whole thing happening, I feel like they would have showed that much, okay? But that ain't never happened. Giselle, you bought your own security. If your security thought that you were in danger, why your security ain't advanced? Why your security ain't go say something to him? But anyway, then Giselle mumbling under her breath, why is this big motherfucker even here? Talking about Chris Samuels. And you know what I wrote under my notes? I said, because he loves his wife. Why Jamal won't there? Embellish had to doing really well. Now listen, Robin, this way you stupid. And not just Robin. Let me take that back. Let me rewind that tape. Not just Robin. This way y'all dumb. Robin said her hats are doing well. And her hats are doing well. Partially her hats are doing well because of... Sorry about that. This is the thing. So part of the reason why your hats are selling so well is because you are on the show and you have this platform. In about 6 months, people are going to forget about Embellish. But here's the problem. They gave the trick as to why your hats are so great. And they said because your hats align with satin, which makes it easier on women of color who have different types of hairstyles, things like that. It doesn't pull at your hair. It doesn't mess up your edges. Why would y'all say that publicly? If Robin by some chance has figured out the trick to the perfect hairstyle for women of color, why would y'all say it? Why wouldn't y'all say, yeah, Robin done figured out the perfect hat for women like us with our hairstyle and our hair texture? And when Andy asked what it was, y'all should have said, we can't tell that. You got to buy the hat and find out. Girl, now you done told everybody in the world who makes hats the perfect thing to do for women of color. The fuck? Stupid. Anyway. They had the whole conversation again about Karen not being on the thing. And Robin, once again, coming up with all these different excuses. Robin, all you had to say, Robin, was what you said on the show. Just stand in your shit. Because now you coming back talking about, well, I didn't think Karen wanted to be there anyway. And Karen was like, no. If I didn't want to be there, I wouldn't have been there. Which is true. Because we know Karen good for skipping an event, child. Then she said, well, I noticed now that none of us are on her website anymore. And so they're not on the front of the website. They're like in the website now. I don't know. I've never been to her website. So then Andy asked, well, are you going to add Karen back to the website now? And Robin said, well, actually, the hat that Karen was wearing was actually one of my slow sellers. So I didn't even bring it back. Then they asked about the tax situation, and they were like, well, do you now understand or have some empathy for Karen and the whole tax situation? And once again, Robin trying to backpedal off of it, talking about some, well, I never said that I didn't understand. I just said I didn't believe, or I didn't understand how Karen didn't know about the tax issues. How would Karen know about the tax issues if Karen don't do none of their paperwork? If Karen if Ray kept that from her, the same way you kept it from Juan, remember how Juan didn't know? Remember the same way you kept it from Juan? Remember when you showed up at the bar with that fucked up ass wig and you had to explain to Juan about the taxes and how you had to call and make a payment arrangement, and Juan was like, well, that's on you. That's your situation. The same way Juan ain't know. Girl. Then of course, okay, Michael's comments about Chris, I meant to say Juan and Robin. Chris wasn't there. Michael wasn't really there to speak for himself, so it was just Ashley, and y'all already know Ashley just gonna defend him. He said that she said that Michael never told her what the real deal was, why he made those comments about Juan. They talked about them going to Vegas alone, and again. Ashley tried to defend it, talking about something. Well, after the reunion last year, girl, don't act like they ain't talked in a year. Anyway, after the reunion last year, they said something about going to Vegas and going gambling, and everybody was like, "Yeah, but by themselves though, with no cameras though." Mm, mm, mm. Karen's comments about Juan being drunk and the things that Juan says when he's drunk. Karen said that she did not want to speak on that because her and Ray had a conversation, and she originally was going to say something about it, but she decided not to speak on it because of she just didn't want. They've been tearing each other down so much, and she just didn't want to continue to create that situation and just have that. Like, she didn't want to just continue to do that. Um, Michael, Chris. Okay, so another powerful moment that I thought was very powerful. Now, again, I didn't see Chris Samuels and all that stuff that they was trying to say by him attacking the women, but Chris Samuels was very emotional, and he did want to continue to have the conversation about the plot. He did. He was a one track mind, and he said, "Listen, I've been waiting on this moment. I've been waiting all year to have this conversation about them plotting on my child." And I will say that Chris did take every opportunity to continue to speak on them plotting on his child. Now, I will say that I will say that he continued to bring that back around. Um, um, and what I thought was very powerful was Andy, once again, talking about something, we never brought it on the show. We never brought it on the show. First of all, like I said last week, you did bring it on the show when you allowed Giselle's confessional to include it. So that brought it onto the show. Second of all, Monique was like, yeah, but it was never filmed. And once again, here go Bravo footage showing us a scene where Giselle was speaking to Robin about the whole plot. Now, they didn't include that. At least I don't remember them including that. Also, something that I missed because, of course, I didn't know about the plot at the time was when Giselle showed up at Chris's house, at Chris and Monique's house, and Chris said, "Oh, this is their first time seeing Chase. Oh, don't he look like his daddy? He looks like his daddy, huh?" Because, of course, they knew about this whole situation, but us as the viewers did not know. So that seemed like a really innocent thing. But now in hindsight, you realize, and you sort of look on Giselle's face when he said it. So he went around the room and was like, okay, who spoke about my son and who the father of this of his, who his daddy was? Who spoke about it on the show? He went around the room. Everybody said no until they got to Giselle. Got to Giselle, and Giselle refused to answer the question. Told Chris, "Don't fucking talk to her." Such a wonderful first lady. Anyway, so they spoke about Chris Bassett was saying how his issue with Michael was the fact. Now, mind you, ain't nobody speak to the fact that he put his hands on Michael and Michael didn't put his hands on him. Whether you like Michael Darby or not, which I don't, but if we're going again, we can't be two-sided with this. If we're gonna say that Monique was wrong for putting her hands on Candace first, then Chris was wrong for putting his hands on Michael first, regardless of what Michael said to him, right? Isn't that what we said about Monique? That it doesn't matter what Candace said. It doesn't matter that Candace got in Monique's personal space. The fact that Monique made contact first, that made her wrong. Okay, well, that's the same thing with Chris. But neither here nor there, Chris was like, but his issue was the fact that Michael Darby has always been disrespectful to women, and he talks crazy out his mouth to women, and of course, actually defended her husband. And in that case, she had a little bit of a point. Like, listen, these women have attacked my husband at every turn, every chance they got, they attacked my husband. And so yes, he has defended himself, but they come for him, and they do. I mean, your husband keep doing stuff to make it so easy, but they do. And Chris was basically like, Michael just doesn't know how to talk to people. So, and that was pretty much the extent of what we were here to see, y'all. They let the guys go off stage. I mean, they talked to Ray, and Ray says to, no, I'm sorry, I missed two parts. So they talked to Ray, and Ray says to, Robin, you need to let us know when y'all are getting married, because we have our 25th anniversary, and we may be having a wedding of our own. And Karen just dissolved. I mean, Karen got very emotional. Karen was crying. Karen was very, very, because she said, after the year we'd always talked about doing a vow renewal, on our 25th, but after the year we had, I didn't think that was something that was still on the table. And so, Ray, that was really sweet of you, Ray, for saying that. And then they asked Chris about the engagement, and Chris said, I'm happy for them. He was like, it is what it is, but I'm happy for them. But then once again, Chris went back down the road of the plot and the plan against him and his son. And again, by that time, I was a little tired of it too. I ain't gonna lie. Andy said they had been talking about it for the last 4 hours, so he was over it. I mean, everybody was sort of over it, and I was kind of over it too at that point. But that's when we saw the clip of Robin saying, "I'm so glad Juan not here. I'm so glad Juan not here." Well, what the fuck was Juan gonna do? I mean, all Chris was saying was, because he said he's happy for y'all and he wished y'all the best. He started with that. People crack me up when they don't hear everything somebody say. He started with the fact that he was happy for y'all and he wished y'all the best. But at the end of the day, what he also said was, but you was part of this whole plot, so it is what it is. Anyway. And that was pretty much it. Chris, before he got off stage, he talked about how much he loved his wife and how hard this has been for all of them, and how hurtful it was that they would question who the father of his child was. And he actually cried, and they had a moment, and of course everybody was rolling their eyes, but I thought it was sweet. I mean, I definitely felt like they had talked some things out, but I also feel like I don't feel like that moment was, I don't feel like Chris was faking for the camera, but whatever. And then they went around the room, and once again, Karen told Giselle she wishes her the best, and Giselle mumbled some nasty shit under her breath or whatever. But that was pretty much it. I mean, they couldn't do their normal toast because they had to stay 6 feet away from each other, so they couldn't do their normal toast. And so they just sort of slithered off the stage, Wendy style. But as we all know, everybody, from my understanding, the only person I don't think we've heard from yet is Robin. I think everyone else we know has gotten their contract. I think there was a question about whether Wendy got hers, but Wendy sent out like a cryptic tweet today that sort of implied that she did get her contract. So as far as I can see, they all coming back, y'all. Talk to y'all later. Peace.